right, gentlemen. So we are recording. Thank you so much for being on this recording, you guys. So can each of you guys give me an introduction, a little bit about who you are for those in the audience who may not be too familiar with each of you guys?
Right. I'm Robert Linden. I'm an actor, stuntman, fight choreographer in the film industry. Garren.
My name is Gerren, former professional wrestler, former stuntman too, I suppose, as well as a filmmaker, graphic designer, web designer, a jack of all trades, a man of many hats.
Gotta be, bro, gotta be. My name's Edgar Ibarra, writer, director of independent films. So gentlemen, let's go ahead and jump on in. We are going on 3 weeks this coming Monday that unfortunately Mr. George Floyd passed away in a manner that no person at all should have to pass away, but unfortunately he's part of a pattern of being another Black life that where it was documented that, you know, he passed away in a manner with regards to police brutality that he should not have passed away from. So you guys have the floor. Thoughts and feelings.
Let Garren go first.
Oh, yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you. The George Floyd situation, to be honest with you, it was just, I'm not even going to consider it the straw. I mean, the nation kind of considers it the straw. The straw for me was honestly Trayvon Martin. That was the straw for me. Because we're talking about an innocent kid went to the store and didn't make it back home. And then how there was so much of a cover-up to make sure that George Zimmerman didn't go to jail. I mean, from his father being, I think he's a judge. And it's so crazy because they were talking about how, let's say, even with Trayvon Martin, that when there were spectators, I guess, in the apartment complex that had heard somebody calling for their mother. And I'm sitting up there like, there's no way that a grown man with a gun is going to be calling for his mother. And then you had George Zimmerman's grandmother on the stand when they asked her that very question. Who was that in the audio that was calling for their mother? And she's like, well, that's Georgie. That's Georgie. I said, that woman's lying. Mm-hmm. And he was the aggressor. He made the phone call. He followed somebody when he was told not to. He did everything wrong in this matter. And yet he was able to walk away. So that was my, breaking point right there, because it was so crazy. Because right before Trayvon Martin got killed, let's not forget, that was the Casey Anthony situation. And we had Black folks, we had white folks, everybody in this country, we were all outraged when that woman was let free and didn't have to serve, the jail time other than what she did. So we're expecting the exact same turnout, because it's like the whole crowd. There was marches on their behalf, with the Kayla Anthony or Casey Anthony, and yeah, and everybody was on the same page. And we're like, something has to be done here. Something has to be done here. This is just wrong. This is just wrong. Then Trayvon happened, and the Trayvon crowd, same Casey crowd, the Black ones, they showed up. And then when Trayvon got killed, for some reason, the white people went away. It's like, well, hold on a minute. We're talking about somebody who was completely innocent. We see that he had no fault. There's no reason why this man should be dead. And he was a child on top of it. He was under 18 years old. Technically, he is a child. But this crowd didn't show up for us like they showed up for them. So that let us know that, yeah, there's a little difference going on here. But they didn't want to admit that. And especially being in Florida. And for some reason, this stand your ground law, that was a big deal at that time. And nobody cared to, take a stand on our behalf. They went out of their way to paint Trayvon Martin as some sort of criminal, some sort of crook, somebody who deserved to die. That was not him. So I saw the exact same thing, with George Floyd. We had this, I forgot the Black woman's name, some conservative woman, had the nerve to be on Facebook saying, I don't know why the Black community has basically chose George Floyd as some sort of martyr because he had this type of record going for him. He had that type of record going for him. He was nobody to really look up to. So what that woman did was dehumanize George Floyd, which is something that I'm used to seeing all the time. Even in arguments on Facebook, the first thing is, I come back with truth. I love history. I back up just about everything that I say, and it's substantiated with some sort of fact. And I have folks that the first thing out of their mouth when they're trying to combat me, because they're coming from a place of attack, they're not coming from a place of fact. What they usually do is just try to demean me at first. So what they'll say is, hey, you're not looking at this the right way. Or, man, you're wrong. You're not seeing this from the right angle. In terms of people like this Candace woman, or anybody else for that matter, it's not just her. It's been happening for the longest time. But the worst part is that they're coming from a place of attack. And usually when you attack, I mean, everything's out of the window. Decorum is out of the window. So to attack the being, the human, it dehumanizes people, and that's what they tried to do with George Floyd. And I'm trying to say, it's like, look, the man had a right to live. They're trying to find any reason in the book to make it seem like he had what was coming to him, and that why should we feel sorry for it? And a lot of people feels this. Some people can say this a racial issue. So in the case of George Floyd, the first thing they wanted to do was dehumanize this man, just like they want to dehumanize, let's say, any left winger, online. I do lean left. I'm a Democrat, not a big deal, because I care about people, and the Democrats do a better job of it. That's my opinion. But in the case of George Floyd, the fact, they would sit up there and ask him, or ask us more or less, why is it that we would want a proper man with a record like his, or a background like his? He had cocaine here. He was, there was an assault with a deadly weapon here, and this, that, and the other. Why is he speaking for the Black community? And it's like, he's not speaking. That's the whole reason why we're here. Mm-hmm. That man had a right to live. $20. That's the price of my soul, $20? They don't think of it like that.
But let me interrupt you real quick, Garren.
Yeah.
Let me interrupt you. But that's the thing. You see on TV, Black man killed. All of a sudden, they're like, well, he beat up a woman 3 years ago, or they try and find every time a Black man is killed by a police officer, there's always something. Well, he was a former gang member, or right. he snorted cocaine 5 months ago. They try and find something to make it justifiable, which to me is just like, okay, it's really stupid. I know this is not a black and white thing. It's a cop and black thing. And, the white cop killed George Floyd. Everyone's pissed about it. I'm not making it, I hate white people, It's more of, I wish that these cops would be trained better. But the fact of the matter is, you see on TV, I forget the kid's name, or most of the people's names, shot up a black church, or white kids shot up a school. Okay.
Dylan Roof.
Yeah, shot up a school full of kids. But all of a sudden they're like, okay, we're gonna go to court. These white kids, there was something wrong with them mentally.
Let's study it. Let's study it.
Yeah. So there was never okay, in the background they did drugs, in the background they did this. They were, it's always like, let's find a reason that they did it. There's always something mentally wrong with the white person that did these crimes. Always something mentally wrong,
Or there's an excuse. They have an excuse.
There's an
like
excuse.
Like the individual that shot up Las Vegas. Worst mass shooting we ever had, in recent times, in recent memory. And they swept that under the rug so quickly. It was like within a week, there was a new head story. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's getting ridiculous. I mean, I think this, to my breaking point, was actually, George Floyd, because I've seen all this stuff, and I'm thinking, okay, that's really bad. Trayvon Martin getting killed, and You know, that was really bad. I'm like, well, you know, like Garren said, he was a boy. You know, he didn't deserve that. And all of a sudden, you see this video of the cop purposely putting his knee on George's neck, and everyone's like, "Let him breathe, get off of him." And he's looking at people like, um, "Don't tell me how to do my job," you know, pretty much. And he kept it there, and like maybe it's just my point of view, but I see him pressing down even harder. He was asserting his power, and he was abusing it. He knew what he was doing. You can't
Shoot,
say
yeah.
you can't tell me he was like sitting there not knowing. I mean, come on, if I'm on the floor and I'm like, I can't breathe, and you're gonna push down harder on my neck, you know what you're doing. Your intention was to kill me, or is to kill me.
Now, in theory, all of us should be outraged. In theory, okay. In a perfect world, all of us should be like, "Oh my goodness," taken aback by it. But now we have, let's say, the cover up from the cops, and that brings about a whole new wave of anger. Then we're talking about the anger that comes from them not serving the time, because I guarantee you, if nobody had video of that, that cop will still be, you know, on the streets. He still be on the beat, probably doing what he's doing. And he had, I don't know how many, let's go into his background. How many offenses did he have before he, you know, did what he did? And, you know, on top of it, like as brilliantly as Robert has said, it's the justification of having our lives snuffed, you know, in this fashion. It's that, oh, and it shouldn't be a big deal to us. Like in the case of that woman in Texas, that female cop that basically walked into the wrong apartment, shot the black man in his house, and then shot the man in his house. Everybody in a home should feel violated by that and realize, oh wow, that could have happened to me, and that shouldn't ever happen to anybody.
I don't know. It's just heartbreaking. You know, it's nobody deserves to die the way he did. I don't care how badly or how bad of a person he was in the past. You know, what gave that cop the right to be the judge, the jury, and the executioner? You know, it's I mean, I'm gonna say there's a lot of good cops out there, but like cops like this are the ones that I'm gonna say we need more. They need more training. That shouldn't even be on the force.
I agree.
Because they know exactly what they're doing. They want that power and they want to abuse it. You know, he didn't just wake up one day and say, "Oh, I hate black people," or "I hate this person." You know, he didn't wake up one day and say that. It's been in his mind. In order for him to do something like that, you know, it's been in his mind and his thought process for a while. You know, it's kind of like you know, it's like, let's say me, for instance, like I didn't wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to be an actor. You know, it's something I wanted to do and I pursued it. So this guy one day, well, not one day, I'm pretty sure he was brought up some way knowing that he didn't like a certain type of ethnicity. You know, and I'm hearing that maybe he's married to an Asian woman. I'm not sure how true that is, but even then it doesn't matter. The way you took this black man's life, it's like there was no reason for it, and it's just ridiculous. And I'm glad it made the news. I'm glad that, you know, people are coming together to march for George Floyd. I don't agree with the looting, but
Yeah.
I do agree with the protesting and trying to get these cops to understand that Black Lives Matter. And by Black Lives Matter, what the people should understand is we're not saying that your life doesn't matter. What we're saying is look between the lines. Black Lives Matter also. You can't you know, kill us and just go about your day. You know, if this was a reverse role, if the black cop was on the white person's neck like that, all hell would break loose. Like worse than what it is, you know. And it's just like, okay, there would be let's look into this cop's background. Oh, he used to be a gang member. You know, he came from a violent home. That's why he did it. You know, I'm pretty damn sure that that's what they would do. You know, but in this cop's case, nobody cared that his background was, you know, what it was. Nobody cared that he he had reports on him, you know, as a police officer. They only cared that George Floyd held somebody at gunpoint. They only cared that he used drugs, and so they're like, he deserved to die that way. But it's ridiculous.